They all think I'm crazy.
Now at 11, crazy for Christmas. A Beaverton man who's been adding to his holiday display for decades meets his match.
And he found out I really liked it, and I found out he really liked it. Well, that was it.
Plus, a group trying to do a good deed winds up almost getting towed. Why neighbors say it's a problem they've been dealing with for years. But first.
And we are here to request that the city stop this nonsense.
Neighbors at their wits' end call on the city to fix safety issues they say have taken over after a homeless center opened up. Thanks for joining us for KGW News. I'm Brittany Falkers. Tonight, Northwest Portland neighbors gave city staff an earful over a homeless navigation center with an uncertain future. Catherine Cook joins us in the newsroom now with an update. Catherine.
Brittany, the River District Navigation Center on Northwest Nato Parkway has been operating for 4 years now. But those living and working nearby say since the moment it opened, the neighborhood has suffered. Now the center is in for a change because the lease on the land is up. The nonprofit Harbor for Hope of Hope, which owns the property, agrees that it's not being managed well. For that reason, they're pulling out. That leaves the city scrambling for a way to keep it open and keep the 90 people inside sheltered. Officials heard from several neighbors tonight. They argue something needs to change if the center stays open. They say not only are there more campers surrounding the center, but there's also more trash, needles, harassment, and even attacks.
People in our neighborhood, including my husband, have been assaulted personally with a person with a knife right next to Harbor of Hope. And you want to talk about cause and effect? Please, do not insult us further. This is unacceptable. You haven't even, in the 5 years the city or Homer have not even engaged in a legitimate, serious conversation with Bybee Lakes, who have just told us not too long ago that they would be happy to entertain. And if the city could save a third of the cost of what it's costing.
Adding to their frustrations, neighbors say they've struggled over the years to get anyone to respond to their concerns. The city says it wants to create a new good neighbor agreement to improve communication. They also say it's important to keep the center open, adding that it's served more than 1,200 people. They claim 19% of them have moved directly into housing from that shelter. As of right now, the city plans to take over the property January 1st. We'll follow up on whether neighbors' concerns get addressed. Brittany.
All right, Catherine, thank you. Tired of waiting for public officials to get it done, private businesses are starting to take it upon themselves to clean up parts of Portland. The CEO of Columbia Sportswear is chipping in a couple $100,000 to focus on graffiti removal and trash pickup. Tim Boyle says cleanup will start on a stretch of I-405 through downtown. His money, along with corporate donations from Columbia and Nike, will cover what they're calling a test project.
I'm looking at this being hopefully a catalyst for the government to take on their personal responsibilities to make this happen.
ODOT says they're on board and appreciate the funding. ODOT also anticipates public funding next year, $20 million promised by Governor Tina Kotek, specifically aimed at tackling trash and graffiti in Portland. New tonight, deputies in Multnomah County are looking right now for this woman. They say Sabrina Cox escaped custody by climbing into the ceiling of a bathroom, crawling to another room, then dropping down into it and walking away. This all happened while she was supposed to be getting checked out by doctors at OHSU. Cox is suspected of aggravated identity theft. If you know where she is, call 911. In election news now, former President Donald Trump tonight is responding to a ruling in Colorado that could keep him off the ballot there. The Colorado Supreme Court today disqualified him from the primary for that state. The court cited the 14th Amendment, which bars people from office if they engage in insurrection or rebellion against the government. The Colorado court says Trump is disqualified from office because of his actions on January 6, 2021. Trump called the ruling nonsense and election interference during a campaign rally in Iowa tonight.
They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you.
His campaign is expected to appeal. Colorado is the first state to make this ruling. Challenges in other states have failed. Now, a group trying to get Trump off the ballot here in Oregon has also filed a lawsuit with Oregon's Supreme Court. We don't know yet if or when the court will rule on that request. Oregon's Secretary of State has already refused to remove Trump's name from the ballot, saying she does not have the authority.
Hey, hey, BZ, Alaska Air is mighty cheap.
That was the scene at PDX today as hundreds of flight attendants with Alaska Airlines picketed. They plan to vote to authorize a strike after months of contract negotiations. Many say they're looking for better pay, working conditions, and benefits. In response, Alaska Air says they are offering an industry-leading proposal, which includes a 15% increase in the wage scale. So the big question for passengers, could this impact your travel plans? Well, not anytime soon. You see, a vote to authorize the strike is expected next month, but before flight attendants can actually walk off the job, a federal mediator has to allow it and say that negotiations are at an impasse, and that is rare. In a KGW investigation tonight, an act of holiday kindness was nearly spoiled by a tow truck company. And it's just another example of towing practices in Oregon that many consider predatory. Evan Watson has our story.
It was a holiday surprise for a family in Happy Valley.
Every time they came in the door, I was in more and more shock. I was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it.
A group from Lake Oswego showed up with a special delivery of 93 presents for a mom and her young children. They were connected by a nonprofit organization to help a family in need.
How would you describe this Christmas? How was it for you?
It was great. I loved it.
But Suzanne Rosenberg, who helped drop off the gifts, says the Christmas surprise was almost ruined by a Grinch of a tow truck company.
It's the holidays, and I'm going to take advantage of these people, of these good-natured people.
Rosenberg noticed people taking photos of their cars while she, her husband, and coworkers delivered gifts. She found out they were tow truck drivers. Her husband was inside building a new bed for 9-year-old Faith.
And I asked the tow truck driver if it was okay if he leaves his car there for about 15 minutes. And he said, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I get into my car, and before I could lift up my head, he had the car lifted.
Rosenberg says a big scene followed. She complained. Clackamas County deputies were called. Other residents of the low-income apartment complex came out to protest.
They'll lift the car, and once they lift it, you have to pay a fee. So we ended up having to pay $250 just to get the car released.
Angie Causey is the mom of 6-week-old Zakari. She asked not to show her face on camera.
It definitely ruined the moment for a little bit, and it took so long. I felt so bad, but they're so sweet, and they still came and finished and helped build the bed, so that was definitely nice of them.
While Santa didn't end up getting towed, the situation sparked a fire in Easton Ridge residents.
They prey on us. Like, they come here and they look for any and every reason they can to tow us.
Suzanne Kukuritsa has lived here for about 3 years.
Not just the car I have now, but the car I had before. Between the two, it's been towed 19 times.
You've been towed 19 times?
19. It's thousands of dollars. Like, it's ridiculous. This is like a Section 42 apartment building. Like, you can only make so much to live here. If that's not predatory, I don't know what is.
She says cars are towed for any number of reasons. If the car is backed in, if it's in the wrong numbered spot, if the parking sticker isn't visible, in the wrong location, has fallen off or appears tampered with, or if it hasn't been moved in 3 days. Kazi has her own horror story.
Like, I actually live here, so I've been towed in my own parking spot, and I've had to pay $400 and something to get my car out of somewhere that I live.
The towing company involved is Retriever Towing, in charge of towing throughout the Easton Ridge complex. In January, Oregon Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum sued Retriever Towing for illegal tows, saying it refuses to comply with 2017 Oregon reforms to end predatory towing practices. For one, towing companies in Oregon must get signed authorization from property owners to tow a car. The lawsuit says Retriever Towing has failed to do this each time it tows a vehicle since 2018. It's not clear if Easton Ridge Property Management provided any authorization for a tow during the gift delivery, or if they've authorized tows in the past. The complex has yet to respond to our calls. On the lawsuit, Rosenblum said, Retriever told us it was reforming its business practices, but it never did. We hope this lawsuit will send a message to all towing companies around the state that they'll be held accountable for violating the law. Retriever Towing says it does not comment on individual towing cases and does not have a comment on the ongoing lawsuit. The case is set for trial next year. Thankfully, Kazi says the opening of gifts smoothed everything over for her family.
And they almost snatched that moment by, towing them and causing all that drama, but we turned it back around and finished the day off well.
But the experience left an impression on Rosenberg.
When I left here, I had tears in my eyes. And not because of what happened to me, but because this is a low-income housing complex, and these people are coming around doing this to people who can't afford it at all. And it can be devastating to them.
Evan Watson, KGW News.